Let's talk about the Samsung Galaxy S8 again. So back in December, I did a full leaks and rumors video on the Samsung Galaxy S8. So some of you might have seen that video. It's really in depth and really long. It's 28 minutes long. And yeah, in that video I covered basically everything we knew at that time in terms of the S8's design, the display, the specs, special features, camera, release date, price, basically everything we knew back in December. Now since then, quite a few more details have emerged regarding the S8, and some of them are really interesting, and that's what this video is about. So hey everyone, welcome to the Zen of Tech. I'm Daniel, and welcome to my Leaks and Rumors series. And in this episode, I'll be covering everything that's new regarding the S8. There's actually a really interesting feature that the S8 will probably come with, and that's most likely going to be a key selling point for quite a lot of people. So yeah, enjoy. So I'm guessing most of you are probably aware that the Samsung Galaxy Note 7, so basically Samsung's flagship for 2016, is unfortunately dead. So the main difference between the Note 7 and the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, apart from the larger screen size on the Note 7, and also the smaller battery on the Note 7, because yeah, the S7 Edge actually had a larger battery than the Note 7. Yeah, so apart from these two things and some minor design changes and some minor feature improvements on the Note 7, the main difference between those two phones was actually the S Pen. And the S Pen is for quite a lot of people the key selling feature of the Note lineup. So it's essentially a stylus that gives you additional functionality, such as on the Note 7, for example, you could actually write on the display even when the display was off. You could also take notes, you could also take screenshots with it. You could also pin things to your display using the S Pen and much more. And when the Note 7 was released back in August 2016, it was actually a pretty big success. Before all of those battery issues, the Note 7 actually had a ton of sales, so a lot of people bought the Note 7 mainly because of that S Pen, so that was the key selling feature over something like an S7 Edge. Now the Note 7 is now unfortunately dead, and with it, the S Pen is pretty much dead as well. However, there's a strong possibility that the S Pen isn't dead just yet. So in my previous Samsung Galaxy S8 full leaks and rumors video, in that video I said that Samsung might actually kill the internal lineup and instead release a standalone version of the S Pen just for the Samsung Galaxy S8. Now that was just my own personal theory. However, recently a couple of new reports coming from China have actually said that Samsung is indeed testing two separate models of the S8. So one of the models actually has an S Pen included into the body of the chassis, so basically the same as we had with the Note lineup. And then the second one also has an S Pen, but this one is basically a separate, an optional accessory that you can buy separately and then pair with the S8. Now apparently Samsung has actually killed the first version of the S8, so the one with the S Pen included into the body. They're actually going to go with the second option, so the one in which you can actually buy a separate S Pen, an optional accessory for the S8. So yeah, it seems that you would be able to buy what's essentially going to be a Note 7 S Pen that would basically work with the Samsung Galaxy S8 and with the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. So what do you guys think about this? An S Pen, an optional S Pen accessory for the S8 and the S8 Plus. Is any of you going to get one? I'll probably get one just to test it out. However, I do personally prefer having an S Pen embedded into the phone rather than one separately, just because, well, one, you won't lose it if it's embedded into the phone. And then two, you don't have to remember to take the S Pen every single time with you, since you pretty much have it inside your phone every time. Okay, so what does this mean for the Note 8? So is the Note 8 entirely dead now? Well, no, not really. So there have actually been quite a lot of sources suggesting that Samsung is actually still working at the moment on the Note 8 for 2017. And Evan Blass, most of you probably know him by Eve Leaks. He's a really well-known leaker. He actually leaked the codenames for the S8 as the SMG 950 and 955 for the S8 Plus. And then he also mentioned the N950, so the N950 is most likely the codename for the Note 8. And yeah, a lot of Asian sources have reported that Samsung is currently working on the Note 8. So yeah, it seems that Samsung hasn't killed the Note lineup just yet. Now I just want to mention a couple of more leaks and rumors regarding the Samsung Galaxy S8 and the Note 8 as well. So the first one, if you remember in my previous full leaks and rumors on the S8, I actually said that one of the main selling features of the S8 is actually going to be a 4K display. So the S8 would be insane for VR. Now that's still a possibility, so that might still happen, a 4K display on the S8 and on the S8 Plus. However, what I haven't really mentioned is a second option, a second version for the display on the S8. So instead of going towards a 4K display on the S8 and on the S8 Plus, Samsung might actually keep the exact same resolution displays as on the S7 and the S7 Edge, so Quad HD, and instead go from a Pentile matrix display to an RGB display. Okay, so why the move from a Pentile display matrix to an RGB matrix display? So what advantages would we get? Well, a Pentile display, so something like we have on the S7 and on the S7 Edge, this is known as an RGBG display. So you basically have two green subpixels and then you also have a red and a blue subpixel. So you basically have twice as many green subpixels as red and blue. In RGB displays, on the other hand, you have the exact same 3 subpixels for the same pixel. So you have green, blue, and red. So you have the exact same amount of subpixels for each pixel. So by moving towards an RGB matrix from Pentel matrix, you would actually get more red and blue subpixels. So basically in VR, all the images and all the videos, everything in VR would look much better. So for example, in VR, a 1080p RGB display has almost the exact same quality as a 1440p display with a Pentel matrix. Now a 4K display with a Pentel matrix would still be a much better option for VR than a Quad HD display with an RGB matrix. So what's actually going to happen with that 4K display? Is it actually dead? Well, it might actually be included in the Note 8. So this is one possibility, a 4K display in the Note 8, because this will basically make it the key selling feature. The Note 8 in this case would be insane for VR, and then a Quad HD display with an RGB matrix for the S8 and the S8 Plus. And yeah, the S8 and the S8 Plus, even with this display, they would still be quite a bit better than the S7 and the S7 Edge when it comes to VR. Now recently there have been quite a lot of reports suggesting just this, a 4K display in the Note 8. And yeah, this is even more likely now, just because, well, a 4K display isn't that easy to manufacture, and considering that the S8 and the S8 Plus will probably sell like crazy, I don't think Samsung will be able to keep up the production with all of those 4K displays for both the S8 and the S8 Plus. However, the Note 8 won't be as popular as the main S8 and the S8 Plus, so a 4K display on the Note 8 would make a lot more sense. And again, this would be a major reason for most people to upgrade to the Note 8, even people with an S8 and an S8 Plus. Now I have a few more things that I want to mention regarding the Samsung Galaxy S8. So over the past few weeks, there have been quite a few reports suggesting that the S8 won't actually come with 6GB of RAM like I initially believed in my previous video, but instead 8GB of RAM, like I said, would be unique to the Asian markets. But apparently 8GB is going to be the standard for both the Asian markets and the international models. So 8GB of RAM, especially on a TouchWiz device, would be just insane. So my S7 Edge, for example, with 4GB of RAM, it's currently quite laggy, so it's definitely much slower than it was when I first got it, and it's so much slower and so much laggier than something like a Google Pixel. Now, just in case you're curious how the S7 Edge, for example, handles RAM management, I actually did a separate video just on that, in which I compared the S7 Edge with the iPhone 7 that only comes with 2GB of RAM. And yeah, basically, spoiler, the iPhone 7 with 2GB of RAM heavily outperformed the S7 Edge with 4GB when it came to RAM management. So an S8 with 8GB of RAM will probably fix this issue. Now, one of the biggest changes in terms of the S8, and I haven't actually seen that many people talk about this, even though this is probably one of the biggest features of the S8, so UFS 2.1. In case you don't know, UFS stands for Universal Flash Storage, and this is basically the flash storage inside the S8. So apparently the S8 is going to come with UFS 2.1, and UFS 2.1 actually supports speeds of up to 1.2 gigabytes per second. Now don't be so hyped, because we won't be seeing, unfortunately, those speeds, because for example on the S7 we actually had UFS 2.0, and UFS 2.0 supports speeds of up to 850 megabytes per second, but even on the S7 we haven't seen anything near that. So on the S7 we have an average write speed of 142 megabytes per second and an average read speed of 484. So yeah, it's nowhere near close 850, and on the iPhone 7 we have around 300 for the write speeds and around 800 for the read speeds. So expect the S8 with UFS 2.1 to be somewhere similar to the iPhone 7 and the 7 Plus when it comes to the internal storage speed. Actually, maybe even a tiny bit faster than the iPhone 7. Now, I just want to mention some updates regarding the announcement and the release date of the S8. So Samsung usually announces their upcoming mobile phones, especially the Galaxy S lineup, in February at MWC, and this is what I said in my previous Samsung Galaxy S8 leaks and rumors video, that the S8 and the S8 Plus will be unveiled in February at MWC. And a couple of reports have suggested that no, Samsung will actually postpone the development of the S8 because they want to fix all the battery issues. But now, according to The Independent, they have fixed all of the battery issues, and Samsung will indeed actually announce the S8 and the S8 Plus next month in February at MWC in Barcelona. However, the S8 production would only start in March, which means that the official release date for the S8 would be, instead of March, would actually be mid-April to May. So yeah, we still have quite a few months to wait until the actual release. However, just one more month to wait until the unveil. So yeah, up until this point, the Samsung Galaxy S8 does indeed seem to be a pretty impressive phone. So a major redesign with no home button this time, and possibly no capacitive buttons, just on-screen buttons, just like we have on the Google Pixel. then also a 3D touch display, an improved display for VR, and also an improved camera and low light, and yeah, that really fast UFS 2.1 flash storage. But yeah, if you want to know more about the Samsung Galaxy S8, everything we currently know in detail, then definitely check out my previous video, so my full Samsung Galaxy S8 leaks and rumors video. That's the main video, so in that video I cover pretty much everything we currently know at this time in detail. But yeah, in this video I just wanted to give you some updates. Also, if you have enjoyed this video and if you want to see more leaks and rumors episodes like this one, then feel free to subscribe, and also don't forget to turn on notifications on my channel. There's quite a few issues with the subscription feed, so definitely turn on notifications if you don't want to miss out on my next videos. You can do that by simply tapping on that bell icon next to my channel, and also let me know in the comments if you're epic enough to make it to the end of this video, and also what feature or features are you most excited when it comes to Galaxy S8. Is it the camera improvements, or the new design with no capacitive buttons, or is it the new display, the much improved display for VR? Also, feel free to give this video a like if you have enjoyed it to let me know. You can also follow me on Twitter for more tech updates there as well. But yeah, this has been pretty much it for this video, so huge thanks to every single one of you that made it to the end. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Son of Tech, signing out. Cheers.